And speaking of which, because we all have our own battles, like what I was saying earlier, right? And to anyone who's listening, who's like kind of like came from my world, or I mean, could relate to where I came from, the whole immigrant family stuff too, and not only that, but it's like when you when you've gone through and you grew up and you made your mistakes, like at a very early age, I've had my chances of getting into trouble as well. Um, I've sold drugs. I went through like, what I mean, like I went through group homes and institutions. My family had a hard, and it's not just your family struggles too. I think it's just an individual as well as. So I'm at fault, obviously, as a child as well. Even though they didn't have the parents growing up or whatever the case may be, to guide them that could have probably deterred them from what they were doing at that time for a betterment or what have you. But everything happens for a reason, right? So even then, like it's also the child too, who he is. And I think I was the fucking little hellraiser. So I got into hella shit, got in trouble. Juvenile hall detention centers, and hang around with got into the gang life with my homies and stuff, and like everything that you just gotta, I think you just gotta go. I mean, hopefully you could listen the sooner the better, and not having to go through these things. But I think a lot of us have to learn it the hard way, and that's kind of where I was at as well. I had my friends, it's all the same story. You're either in a box or a cage. My friends, I've seen a lot of shit too. My friends getting, losing their life at a young age. Kids who get caught, a crossfire, even though they're not part of the gang, but they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Stuff like that. And like my friends losing their life or their family's lives, and they got deported or they're locked up right now, right? So, and then there's, at the end of the day, like, I lost a lot of friends, and I'm grateful to still have what we call big homies, and I still have a few of those out there. Shout out to my big homies out there. They kind of, even when I was going through my shit, they kind of sheltered me as a little homie, right? So I was young, and I mean, they're not all bad people is what I'm trying to say. So, but we all had to learn. And, the graces of God that they're still here, I'm still here. And anything, we're living a great life, man. And like, I mean, I even had to, I wouldn't say progress, but like from juvenile hall, all that shit up to like
that is progress though.
No, me as an adult and I went to jail. That's not progressing towards like the wrong way. Is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
And then I did my time,
But then like from that to where you're at now,
right?
That's a big progress.
When I got, like my mom was the last person I saw when I got locked up, and the first one I saw when I got out, right? So I just, that was like the hardest shit, and I'm gonna get emotional, but I got this.
You can be,
but I was like the hardest.
Cry in the podcast,
no,
dude. You're allowed to cry.
But when I was locked up, man, like the hardest shit was seeing my grandmother come visit me, bro. And from the other side, it's like, it was crazy, man. Like she's like just fucking smiling and shit, and like, of course she does what she usually does. You know what I mean? Like, did you eat? You look skinny, slim, and all that. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know how to handle it. I'm like, bro, because I'm like very, kind of sensitive.
How long were you in jail
I'm a
for?
sensitive person, bro. I had a 3-year sentence, but I got out earlier.
Okay.
Like a year and a half I got out. So, and well, yeah. So like that was like the hardest shit, and I had to like come back to reality. I couldn't cry, so I'm like, I had to tell my grandma and my family, hey, this is the last time you guys come. You know what I mean? That was the first time in the last time. I'm like, just let me do my time, and I'm gonna come home, and that was it. So yeah, so they like, so that was it, man. And then like she's just smiling or whatever, and I just said my goodbye, and then I just kind of did my time from there, right? And fast forward though, man, that's like, when I got out, man, it's like, that's when I realized. You realize all shit. I was like 19, I think, when I got out. I realized, I'm like, dude, shit. 'Cause I spent my 18th birthday in that bitch. But fucking oh no, I spent my 19th birthday in there, and but when I got out, man, I just like realized what's more important. my career, what I'm gonna do now, my family that I've neglected so much, because I put I invested my life in the streets with the homies and shit like that. So it's like there was nothing good out of that, man, at all.
Yeah.
When you're doing bad things, you're eventually it's gonna catch up to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck what you do. You could get away with it for a few years, 5 years, 10 years. Eventually you're gonna get caught, bro. And that's what happened to me. So and all of us, pretty much. And I decided to go back to school, and I graduated. Graduated college, so I had to do that for myself, but more importantly, because none of that stuff really like carried on to my life at the moment, except for maybe 2 + 2 and shit like that. But whatever. But I mostly did it because from like an Asian culture standpoint, just for my family. You know how it is, yeah. For my grandmother, just to kind of, you know what I mean, did that. And like, so I say that to say, even though you going through all that shit, you know what I'm saying, and you still manage to graduate college, and you still manage to have your own business, and you're still growing, and you have other projects. Because I'm not even done. I have a lot of stuff that I don't want to detail, but a lot of stuff in the back that I'm working on as well. And at the same time, I give myself to the community, to the youth programs. You see me on the training these boxers now, right?
You're giving back to the community.
Yeah, so I try to, you know, I do that out of my heart, bro. I don't want shit back. I don't want $1 from them when they become world champions. They know that. You know, I seen these kids grew up, you know what I mean, in the same neighborhood and stuff. I know how it is. I know how it is without guidance, right? So I try to do what I can on my part to kind of speak to them. So sometimes my buddy who runs a boxing gym, shout out to Chapitos Boxing, Oscar. So yeah, he had me talk over there as well. So I'm going to gym, and like now I find myself, I sponsor like 4 athletes, which is kind of part of some of the stuff that I'm doing with the business of the restaurant. I sponsor these 4 athletes.
Nice.
3 boxers, and then 1 like a football player. Shelly's kid. But so yeah, so I do things like that, and like and that's another like adventure of mine, I guess. Is part of, I want to open up a gym type shit. So I didn't think about that, which is crazy because like it crossed my mind. I love boxing so much, you know me, Jared.
Yeah.
And I always want, like, I told myself I want to train a boxer someday, and that was a long time ago. And like you said, what we were just talking about, like, you don't know it's happening, bro. Fast forward, now that it's happening, I'm like, holy shit, I'm actually training a fucking boxer. I have a fucking own business. Like, I didn't realize that because I was like complaining and bitching.
Yeah, because I think it's just like once you actually like slow down and like think about where you're at, you'll realize that life is constantly just happening. Like when you just like follow this like one route, like, oh, I started training this thing, this boxer, and then now I'm like probably gonna start my own gym. Like it's always just gonna be like you have to open that door, and then just kind of have to like the next door is gonna be closed.
It's crazy. I never planned that though. Like,
yeah,
I never like sat down in detail because I'm very detail oriented.
But the thing is too is like you never. What I've realized from, you know, I've been here on Earth for like a long time. I just realized that nothing really works out as you think it will.
Yeah, right.
Like it always works out for like the better to better you, but then it's nothing I've ever planned has happened like the way it was supposed to. Because like for me, like I remember when you came over to my house.
Oh yeah.
Like we made a song together because I showed you one of my beats. I was like, oh, I'm working on this beat right now. At that time, I was just thinking like, oh, it would be a cool cover that I can do, because like during that time I was doing a lot of YouTube covers.
You pick on that shit quick. You like that happened so fast, Jarek. Like imagine people with that mindset. If we all had that. So shout out to you on that,
and then you came over and be like, dude, let's make a song. I'm like, I don't know fucking know how to make a song, dude. And then you were like, I'll help you make lyrics and all that stuff. And that's how I started my fucking music career.
And the album came out. Like,
album.
Like that's some radio hit shit, bro.
Yeah. Really good song. Like you gotta check it out on Apple Music, Spotify, everywhere. But yeah, it's like you just one day we just decided to hang out. Like you came over to my house and that was it. Like all of a sudden now I was doing like I don't know how many years now, 4 years later, 4 or 5 years later, I'm making music now. And like that was just the thing, like that was the trigger. Like you said that thing and then that was it, my life changed. And then I've had multiple of that where
Read the signs. I believe in that.
yeah,
Shit,
like I hear something, or like somebody says something to me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm here. Like with this space, like Felicia and Anthony, they were like, hey, we're expanding. This used to be a storage room. There was a bunch of stuff in here, and then I've always wanted to have like my own like studio, and I never really knew like when it was gonna happen. And
You don't, man.
yeah, I don't. So like when this like made it possible for me to like I told them like, hey, what are you gonna do with this room, because it's been a storage room for like a year or whatever. And I talked to them about it, like, can I just rent this space out, like this room? And I honestly thought I was gonna make music here, but then when I started like painting and designing this place, I was like, maybe I should just start my podcast again. And then that was it. Like now, it's just a podcast room dedicated for that. And
I like
then
it.
yeah, so like you said, like you never know what's gonna happen, and so anything that's you plan, just throw that shit out of the window. You know what I mean? Like, because life will just kind of like come to you when you're ready.
Right.
And then you have to be ready to receive that though, because like if you didn't do the things that you were doing, like I don't think you would have gotten that sign from the universe. Like for me, like if I didn't start making YouTube covers, if I didn't start making beat, if you came over, like that would have been nothing, or like nothing would have come out of that. You know what I mean? Like if I wasn't making those beats, and then you didn't see that, and then you didn't tell me to make a song, I don't know where my life would be at right now. So like, I'm sure you have
What you're trying to say is, when you blow up and start making money, don't forget about me, right?
oh, of course, dude. You got your royalties.
Just kidding, bro.
Um,
Nah, you're right. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Like everything just gonna, as cliche as it sounds, everything happens for a reason.